Hey, do you guys think it's possible if we could get like maybe like a karaoke thing up while we're waiting? Yeah, I was thinking, yeah, disco would be good. Yeah, I can stay in a lot. Yeah, I could do that. That would be entertaining, if nothing else. Everybody, we're going to start at 5:15, okay? It gives everyone who just walked in a little chance to get set, get ready, get right. Okay, so about 4 minutes. Thank you. Seeing that it's 5:15, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Dr. Scott, would you please do the roll call?
Yes. Heidi Hensley.
Here.
Mary P. Bagby. Here. Linda Davis.
Here.
Dr. Patricia Yeager. Dr. Mumby Anderson. Mark Evans.
Here.
Tim Denson.
Here.
Dr. Lakeisha Gant.
Here.
Nicole Hall.
Thank you very much, Dr. Scott. A quick little programming note. We are going to be moving 4K down to the bottom. If you look in Assembly, you'll see that we're going to do it after personnel since there is a presentation, and it deals with the code of conduct. So we're gonna move that all the way down so that way we can get some of the other business done, and then be able to have some time here. And then I'm going to actually limit discussion on that for 20 minutes during the work session, but we can bring it back up at the board meeting and have a longer discussion if we so choose. So anyway, just want to make that small note that you have, and we'll go from there. All right, for the President's report, I have a few things that Dr. Anderson wanted me to convey to everyone. First off, a reminder that on Tuesday, March 17th, which is St. Patrick's Day, we will be having our spring retreat here. Fantastic. Starting at 5 p.m. So part of that session, we will be going into executive session during the last hour of that to discuss the selection of superintendent. Dr. Anderson has given us all access to the Google Drive, so you can pick your 5 top candidates and any notes and things that you want to add in there. And then we will have that discussion. If you need things printed out, please let Ms. Palmer know before you leave today. Okay, so that way you have plenty of time to get the information that you need to be able to digest it and then be able to come in to the conversation on Tuesday. If you have not picked up your binders yet for the budget, they are available for you. Part of the retreat, we'll be giving Mr. Greiner some time to discuss the budget and give us a chance to have a discussion with him on those things. We'll also be discussing a few policies that need to be addressed. One of them being when someone leaves the district, how long they've been here, and what that means and how we can make that work. Let's see. We will also ask Dr. Scott to give us a little update on West Broad, on where we are with that, and maybe have a small, very small Q&A on that. And then, let's see, all right. On a more personal note, on April the 2nd, the ad hoc naming committee will meet to finalize the language for the policy to be updated to address and allay some of the fears that have been expressed to the board, so we can get it out on a first read that night. That also leads me to remind you that the next board meeting will be on April the 2nd, Thursday, April 2nd. Now, normally it would be April the 9th, but April the 9th, our wonderful folks are all going to be on spring break, and so we are going to allow them to go and rest, relax, and recoup as they charge forward into the last 6 weeks of school. So there's that. We have not set a time yet. I'm waiting for Dr. Yeager to give us a time for that. But I'm thinking it'll probably be in the afternoon, close to the board meeting, so that way we don't monopolize staff's time because they have to be there as well. Okay. And last but certainly not least, congrats to those who qualified. So all the odd numbers for all those who qualified for the different board seats. Very sad to see one member has decided that she's going to hang it up. But That makes me sad, but that's okay. All right, no pressure. And a reminder that voting day is May 19th, but early voting starts on, it's April the 7th, right? Is that when early voting starts? April 20? 27th. April 27th. Oh, yeah, when you put a 2 and a 7 together, that's 27. Good. Okay, and if you want more information, go to accgov.com. Okay, don't do like I do. I put acc.gov, and it takes me to some weird place in Virginia. All right, you want to go to accgov.com. And that, Benham, is the president's report. So shall we jump right into policy? First, the first one, IFBG, is there's an added social media piece. Mr. Pruitt, would you mind talking about this really quickly so that way membership has an understanding of what's going on with this?
Sure. So the bill passed actually, I think, in 2024, has several things, policies that all school boards have to implement by different deadlines. You met your first one with your October 1st deadline with the updated IFBG that you passed at your September meeting. The next deadline is April 1st for this social media component. And so actually, if the board is willing, we need the board to suspend the rules when we get to this one in the regular meeting so that you can approve this one tonight without having to put it out for public comment.
So my understanding, though, is that we're going to actually send it out for public comment, but we're going to vote on it first, and then it'll...
I think that's right.
That's going to come back to us, right?
I think Dr. Scott told me today, yeah.
Okay, all right. So can I get someone to make the motion to suspend the rules?
No, we'll do that in the regular meeting. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's even better. Okay, great. All right, then we'll move right along. All right, policy AA, school district legal status. This is basically the legal status of our district in which we tell the state we are Clark County School District, and all of the things that go along with that. Staff has asked for no change on that. If you look, it's all green. So I would like to put that on, send it out for first read, excuse me. Sorry. So that's going out to first read. My bad. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about with that? Ms. Davis?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, for the people that I've talked to, that especially the people that are taking my seat, this is a good policy to read, and all of the supporting documents that go into that policy would be great to get familiar with, because I think it kind of defines how we operate as a board. So that's a, good resource.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay. All right, so that's going to go out to first read. So excellent. All right, policy GBU, professional personal ethics. This is a first read. I skipped that one for some reason. Okay, please.
So policy GBU is a policy that we're bringing and we're revising, because later on for policy CB, then we're actually going to be recommending that we rescind that, because it is a duplication of what's already included in policy GBU. So we made one slight edit to GBU to clarify that all staff members must abide by the Clark County Code of Ethics.
Anyone have any questions about that? Ms. Davis?
I'm so sorry.
No? Okay. All right. So that goes out for first read. Excellent. All right. Next one, ABB, board powers and duties. Anyone take a look at that?
I'll do the same comment on that one for the people that are asking me, well, what is it like, and, what's it going to be like to be on the board? And I'm like, these are two that would be very important to read and understand and get some conversation going about those, because they do give you a very strong glimpse into where our governance role gets defined fairly clearly.
Absolutely. Any other comment? Okay. All right, charter schools, first read. A policy IBB. Yes, Dr. Scott, would you mind giving us a little clarity on this?
Okay, so for policy IBB, it's around charter school petitions that we receive as a school district of those who are wanting to open a charter school within our district. Based upon current legislation that was passed, then we did have to revise that. And so that's why you see a significant portion of what was previously included is being deleted in order to add the current statute.
Any questions? No? No. I had one question. This seems like it feels like they can just drop in at any time now? Is that a fair assessment?
No, sir. So the new state regulation that caused this change, it has some target deadlines or ranges, but it says that each school district creates its own timeline. And so that's the first line here, that the superintendent or her designee will create the timeline for Clark County School District's charter application process.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate that. Anyone else have any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Dr. Gann.
And to clarify, we don't have a timeline yet. That won't necessarily come through policy. This is just stating that we have to have a timeline.
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
So I do have a question. So all of the red.
Ms. Davis.
We've taken that out, and so it's going to be just policy, and then this other stuff looks like it's going to be regulations on how the administration is going to go about this process. Is that what I'm seeing?
Correct. So we're removing all of the previously included timelines, and then we'll build out our own, and then it would not be included in the policy. It would be more of a regular. So you're right.
Yay, thank you.
And if I may, the state regulation that's referenced there, the 160-4-9-.05, it's actually a lot more clear and specific than it used to be.
Okay.
So when the district creates that internally, they'll have that to go by.
Thank you all. Okay. All right. Policy CB. Oh, Mr. Jensen.
Yeah, just a follow-up on question on that then. So the latter part of what's being removed, like the kind of more the structure of how things get approved, that hasn't changed at all. Like the way that the role that the board would play in the process.
Not substantively. It's more of the procedure that's changed.
Okay. Okay.
All good? Okay. All right. Okay. Moving to policy CB, administrative personnel ethics, first read. Now, you were saying that this is the one that we want to get rid of, right? You want to rescind? Because I saw rescind. Okay, all right. So they want to rescind it since it's redundant because of the policy GBU, correct? All right.
I have a question. So in GBU, I think it doesn't say administrative personnel. I think it talks about staff. What does it say? There are two words that they use to describe it, and I just want to make sure that that staff description, I think it's teachers and staff, I think it's what it says.
Yes, so it distinguishes those who are certified through the PSC.
Right.
And so we have added in that all staff members must follow our Clark County Code of Conduct.
Right.
Those who are certified through the PSC must also make sure they're abiding by the PSC Code of Conduct, which is pretty much the same as our CCSD, or sorry, Code of Ethics, not Code of Conduct.
And that, it took me a while to just get accustomed to that language of the certified and non-certified, classified, non-classified. And so I just want to make sure that when we remove this, that the policy that we're referring to is inclusive of all of our employees, because I think that's what we want it to be.
Yes.
Sure.
So CB specifically outlined administrative personnel. We made sure that it included all personnel must abide by the CCSD Code of Ethics.
Okay. And yet they still make that distinction between classified and non-classified when it's really all employees. And that's all I'm asking for is like, does classified and non-classified cover everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Thank
The
you.
CCSD Code of Ethics covers everybody. There's the Georgia Professional Standards Commission Code of Ethics that only covers, certified personnel. And
Right.
that's because the enforcement mechanism for that Code of Ethics is suspension or revocation of your teaching license.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay. All right, moving on to policy LDAJA, interrogations and investigations. This is the fourth read that we've had. Does anyone have anything? All right, Ms. Bagby.
I have a question and a concern about this interrogation and investigations on this policy on number 2, A and B, because it says that the presence of the principal or designee at the examination and photographing shall at the discretion of defects or local law enforcement agents. They have the discretion to say whether or not the principal or the designee be present. And I have a problem with that because it's not saying, is the law enforcement, are they of the same sex as the person that's going to be photographed? This is like open to, it needs to be specific. I don't like this, that the law enforcement agency can determine whether or not the principal or the principal's designee can be there for taking photographs of a child that's been abused. I have a problem with that. That's not right. Examination or photographing of the student at school shall be allowed upon presentation of a court order or administrative subpoena. The presence of the principal or designee at the court, at the photographing or the examination shall be at the discretion of defects employee or local law enforcement agents. If the principal or designee is present at the examination of photographing, she shall not participate in the examination or photographing of the students. This is giving too much exposure to our children and taking away parental rights. This right here needs more clarification. It doesn't stipulate whether the law enforcement agent has to be of the same sex. It's too much freedom here. It's too much freedom in this investigation, interrogation situation here. It's too much freedom and liberty and exposure, and too many of the parents and the children's rights are being taken away in this policy.
Yes, we will take all of that under consideration and look at any additional revisions that can be made, but making sure that we're also within the parameters of what we must do on the legal side of things as it relates to defects, regulations, and procedures.
I have similar concerns about a child being, defects, first of all, doing examinations at the school, unless we're talking about maybe in one of the clinics or something. I don't understand why all of a sudden our children are going to have to be in their safe place, undressed and examined and photographed. I don't see that as a school learning experience. I see that as something that you would do at a hospital or a place where you've got expertise to even understand what we're photographing. So I am very much opposed to us allowing children to be photographed. If there's a concern about child abuse or neglect, that is typically handled in a medical space where there's expertise to recognize and deal with that. I don't want children to feel afraid to come to school because they have been undressed and photographed by people that aren't teaching them. It's not a part of their learning experience. So I really have strong feelings about that particular part.
Dr. Gant?
Yes, I would support some additional reflection. I know this is a very, from what I can tell, a very delicate situation. You know, should a child present to a school and there is either evidence or suspicion of abuse. Dr. Scott, I wonder, so far, because I know that this policy keeps going back and coming back, and with this particular area, have our social workers, counselors, and maybe even a DFACS representative maybe sort of chimed in to sort of help us understand like the complexities and maybe even the necessity of this particular part of the policy. Like, do we technically need to say it if, like way back when we would if we had to make a report, then we weren't responsible for any investigation. Our job was to make the report. And based on what you're telling the person that you're making the report to, then they determine how to like either resolve or process or move forward. So it seemed like based on what we would tell them, if they felt like it warranted an additional response from the police or DFACS, that we would not necessarily have to give them that permission because they would do that anyway. And so I am sort of curious as it relates to like if we feel like it's something that we need to have here, like granting explicit permission. And then also just, what have like counselors or whoever the mandated reporter or that person for that organization, like what have they seen, particularly with our younger children who may not necessarily be able to articulate what's going on?
So we can definitely involve them in the review of this portion. To your question, does it have to be included? It's actually pieces that were added in one of the revisions based upon feedback of wanting to distinguish between the opportunities for DFACS to come in to conduct interviews and investigations versus police being able to come in and do that. And so we can go back and review that to see how much of it actually needs to live in policy, but then also what are our procedures as it relates to working collaboratively with DFACS to protect our students.
Mr. Denson and Ms. Hensley.
Thank you, Chair. My question is to Mr. Pruitt. I guess I'm wondering, because we did discuss last month that this policy is not a required policy, and just seeing that how we get into all these other things, I'm wondering, does this potentially open us up to any legal liability where we are facilitating these interrogations, these photographies, these examinations by these other parties, and if something was to go awry or some kind of injustice was put in place, would we have any kind of liability possibly there for facilitating it?
Let me say first, I actually wasn't involved in this version of it, so I haven't really looked into any of that. Just glancing at it, just looking at Section 2, it looks like it's basically, I mean, as Dr. Gant said, it's basically just saying the district would comply with court orders and, lawful directions. So obviously the district has no liability for complying with a court order.
I thought it said here specifically without a court order, though. If there is a reasonable explanation without a court order on 2A.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I would love to be able to talk to our social workers, staff, and get a little more context here before I wade in.
Ms. Bagby?
The word discretion opens it up for discrimination, at their discretion. And see, when you having things at people's discretion, you give them too much power for discrimination. And so I think the rules should be across the board, because we should not have the discretion to say, well, this person, I'm not going to punish this person for this because this person has this problem. But you got a rule here, but at your discretion, you're going to violate the rule. For example, a level three for a student. It might, well, if it's in the code of conduct, but at the teacher's or principal's discrimination, you say, well, this child is having problems at home, so we're not going to punish him, but we're going to punish this one because we don't know he has any problem. No, we should start using the law and everything else across the board.
Ms. Bagby, we're getting a little off topic there. Feedback? Yeah, we're kind of focusing on this particular thing. So if we could go back to that, Ms. Davis?
You know, again, honestly, if this was here the last time, I did not see this in this policy. On the third read, I did not see it. Now, I don't know if I just overlooked it or it was something, but yeah, this really glares, and it feels to me that this policy is moving us into a place where the policy that was the original document that we used to build this on was purely a law enforcement policy, and it said so in its title. Ours came forward without the law enforcement. It came forward with investigation and interviews, and so now we've added DFACs in here as a part of this whole thing around investigations and interviews. And I just want us to do our role as educators and allow the other agencies to do their roles. And the discipline piece of it, I don't want us taking pictures of kids if the police come and bring a warrant to pick up a kid. We shouldn't be taking pictures. Our cameras should capture all of that information. I just don't see us being that place where a child has to have a bad experience coming out of our school doors. I can't imagine that. So I definitely am not in favor of any photography for DFACs or law enforcement or anybody happening in our school district. This is where we bring kids to a safe place to learn and grow. That's it.
So I'm going to call this, since everyone's had two times. Is it just me? Is it just mine? That's crazy. Okay. So I would like to remind us all that we are all mandated reporters. That if you're a classroom teacher and if you suspect, not you know or you see, if you suspect, you have to report. Right? That is the law. If the teacher doesn't do that and later on is found out and that you didn't do that, right, there are serious consequences. Prison in some cases. All right? So we do need to think about this, and I agree with you. I remember the case that I was involved in when I was in DeKalb. They actually took the child to the hospital, and that was all of the photography and everything else was done there and not at the school site. So maybe we need to be explicit with that. You know, just say, hey, you know, once it's been, once this has been made, you know, the child is then taken to be examined by the medical professionals and then handled in that way. I think that might be some good language to add into there. So that way there's no, you know, and we still are doing what we need to do, right? And they get to do what they need to do, they just don't do it in our building. And I think that that's probably a safe place to go with that. So we'll send this back for fifth read. All right, fantastic. Okay, we're going to move on to, things that are now been recommended to mark as reviewed. All right, policy DG, which is the depository of funds. So, does anyone have anything that they want to talk about with this? Would this be something we could move to the consent agenda? Could we move this to the consent agenda? Okay, all right, do you guys want to move this to the consent agenda so that way, or we'll okay, all right, we'll put that, we're gonna,
Dr. Evans, you're talking about DG?
yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, the depository of funds, yes, ma'am. Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, so we'll move that to the consent agenda. Yay, great. Okay, next one, board policy GAEA, staff protection, recommended marked as reviewed. Any comments on this? I mean, it seems, Ms. Davis?
Yes, I think this is the policy that assures our employees that they are protected if they are reporting an abuse or a violation of a rule. Is that right? Am I in the right one? Yes.
Yes, for physical or psychological abuse, yes.
Yes.
And we were not recommending any changes to that.
Any changes? I really like that. I think it's very important that we remind ourselves and remind our staff that they have a voice and they can do that voice without fear of retaliation.
So would that be all right to put on the consent? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I just had a quick question. So yes, I'm fine with it on consent. Dr. Scott, in the event that we have like a colleague who is feeling not safe, or where, you know, where it says psychological harm or abuse, or they're not in a safe working environment, what would be, I guess this would probably be the regulation or something, some type of standard operating thing, but what do they do in the event that they are not, like, what's the protocol for them?
So that gets reported to their direct supervisor, who then must take action to investigate and address the concerns that have been brought forward. And if it is the direct supervisor that they have concern with, then it would then go to that person's supervisor.
Okay, and so like as our like colleagues and staff, like as they're either onboarded or just as a part of their regular either orientation or staff development, is it your sense that they sort of know that that first line is to go directly to the supervisor, and then if it is the supervisor, what they should do next?
Correct. So
Okay.
there is an awareness, and I believe that it's included in one of the vector trainings that they do annually.
Oh, okay, thank
Around
you,
it.
thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
The very last part, that yes, they are aware, and it's included in the vector training that's done annually for all staff members.
All right, so can we throw that on the consent agenda? That be, okay, all right, consent agenda, here we go. Great. Okay, and as I stated earlier, we're going to move K to the very end of really everything, so that way we can spend some time there. So does anyone have any policies for review? I didn't want to talk about that one. How dare you? No, okay, fine. Policy JQK for foreign students, which I think is really important. There are no changes that the district has asked for, so anyone? Consent agenda? Does that work? All right, thank you. Sorry about that. So, all right. And, all right, are there any policies that you would like to bring up? Has anyone been combing the manual, anything? All right, no one, no, I sure haven't, I've been busy. Okay, so we're gonna move K down to so the next one are business items for discussion for consent agenda. So the work session and board meeting minutes, consent agenda. Okay, all right, well, we'll do the thumbs up thing, okay, great. Field trips.
I think it was a little correction on the meeting minutes, if I'm not mistaken. There was a line, it seemed odd at the end of the minutes, and I think it might have been an editing note. Did you see? It's the work session. It was just an odd line that was sitting there, and I was thinking, did you see it? Excellent, thank you.
So, okay, but we're okay with putting that on the consent agenda if that line's fixed?
With that correction, that would be excellent, thank you.
Okay, all right, then so be it. All right, moving to field trips. Let's send those kids to Jekyll Island.
Consent?
Great. Okay, furniture purchase for Gaines Elementary School project. Everybody good with that?
Consent?
Okay. Betty Henderson Holston roof replacement.
Consent?
Okay, consent, okay. All right. Oh, Dr. Gann.
Yes, consent. I just had a quick question about, or maybe two quick questions about this. When you all give us like the additional information, Dr. Scott, can you remind me, like when we got like the sign-in sheet, were those for the individual companies that were going to be applying for the, okay.
You're talking about the pre-bid sign-in sheet?
Yes,
Yes, so those were
okay.
the companies that came to the pre-bid meeting with the intent that they would be submitting an RFP.
Okay, and so that's a pretty quick turnaround from like when they come to the pre-bid. It seems like they pretty much already have, well, but I guess because the RFP is already out there, actually. And then I think I noticed that this was a woman-owned business. And I just wanted to, I don't know if that was any work of you all's and the staff, but I know that Clark County has been doing a good bit to try to get a variety of different people, you know, aware of like the process and you just since we had the disparity study. So I just wanted to thank you publicly for that. Yep.
Absolutely, and Ms. Jackson and her team will actually be providing a board presentation at the May board meeting on the disparity study and the work they've been doing.
Okay, so consent for the roof? Okay, excellent. Moving right along. Classroom projectors for Gaines renovation project. Consent agenda, everybody? Okay, all right. Cool, cool. Good job. Firewalls. All right. I have a question about firewalls. So I was looking at this and I see the thing here, but I didn't see the RFP anywhere. Is that?
This was a state contract.
Oh, it's a state, oh, this is a state contract? Then never mind. Okay, my question is moot then, okay? Thank you, sorry. All right, consent agenda for firewalls, so that way we don't get ransomwared. So,
I just couldn't wrap my mind around this one, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna, gonna stay neutral on it for now.
so you want me to pull this out? Okay, all right. We're good with the, everybody? Yeah. Because ransoming is not good, not good. Computer purchase, and this one's going to Cedar Shoals for the CTAE thing, okay, all right. Consent? Okay, excellent. Band uniform purchase. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, you better put your thumb up if you're running. 'Cause those band parents, they're no joke. Okay. All right, and then last is the grant application for the Sandra Dugan Deal Center for Early Language and Literacy Community Coalition grant request. It's a good thing I worked out this morning because that was a lot. That was a lot to say. Good? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. Great, okay. So that leads us down to personnel. So throw that on the, well, that's one we have to vote on, right? We have to vote on that no matter what, right? We have to do a motion, all that, okay. We don't do that here, we do that at the regular board meeting. See, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Right. 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 Okay. All right. Okay. So, does any? All right. So we'll just we'll talk about this stuff in executive session. All right. Great. Now, now we're going to circle back to K, where I understand that Mr. Cobb has a presentation for us on the 26-27 Code of Conduct. Right? Okay, all right, great.
So while he's getting set up, then I will let you all know that he's going to be presenting on the Code of Conduct as well as providing you all with some of our behavior and discipline data for this current school year. You will not be voting on the approval of the Code of Conduct today. You will do that actually in the April board meeting, and so this is a time for you to ask any questions, provide any feedback. If there's anything that you find that comes up later, of course, you can always submit those questions to us prior to the April board meeting.
Thank you, guys. With a thumbs up, can you hear me? Thumbs up? Great. And I will point out, there's one already thing we need to correct. It should say that 2026-27 Code of Student Conduct. We can make that change for you guys on the presentation on the first slide. But again, good evening to all of you guys. Thank you guys for being here tonight, allowing me to be here. I am Jabari Cobb. I am the Director of Student Services here in our district. And I'm here tonight to present an overview of behavior data and insights into that data, as well as presenting proposed edits to our Code of Conduct for next school year. And on slide 2, first I'd like to share an overview of the work and the role of the Director of Student Services. My department focuses on 3 core areas. 1, prevention and monitoring, gathering and analyzing data to proactively address concerns. 2, intervention and school support, providing direct intervention and support to our schools and centers. 3, policy and compliance, ensuring that all students and schools support activities that adhere to policy requirements. An example of compliance is expected due process for students. We want to make sure we honor due process for all of our students on all levels, and progressive discipline compliance, as well as coordinating Title IX for students. And we'll get to slide 3. I just want to point out that we'll transition to looking into the behavior and discipline data, both from this school year and for previous years. Please note the data is comparing August and February months, so that when we look at this year's current data compared to previous years, again, we're starting from August going to February. First, on slide 4, we look at the total incidents starting since the school year of 21-22. These are all state reportable incidents, or ODRs as we call them, office discipline referrals. In later slides, we'll break down what these mean for each grade band, elementary, middle, and high. One point of note is that the behavior support work shifted in the school year 23-24. And we do see where we've had a decrease of incidents since some of those shifts. And I'll later highlight the work that we'll be continuing that we feel like has had a positive impact in helping to see a decrease in the overall incidents. On slide 5, as you look now specifically at elementary school and total state reportable incidents, you can see where we've had a decline that has stayed relatively steady since 2022-23. To maintain this trend, we work with schools to monitor individual monthly behavior incidents, and work with teams around root cause analysis, targeted interventions where we see spikes in specific schools, grades, or targeted or student groups. Slide 6, much like the overall incidence, we've seen an impactful decrease in the use of out-of-school suspension at the elementary level. Another trend we will continue to work diligently to maintain. A shift I've seen in my time in this role is building leaders doing everything they can to prioritize not using exclusionary practices or consequences whenever possible. And this shift in mindset certainly has been brought with district strategic planning and focused intervention-based behavior work and increase in MTSS practices with tiered behavior supports. Looking at the total incidence for middle school, we do see a similar trend pattern where we've seen a decrease of incidence since the school year 23-24 that we have sustained. One point I'd like to make is that we begin to discuss secondary schools data is that in 23-24, the district shifted the behavior support model and the district-funded behavior specialists were placed at each middle school and high school. Having dedicated support in each school, we feel like has made a positive impact regarding our student data and student discipline. Slide 8, while we've seen overall incidence drop, we have seen spikes, as you can see, in the last school year regarding OSS. While this is not ideal, when we see these increases, the goal is to drill down with the data to determine where and why we're seeing these increases, and then provide targeted support to those schools and problem solve at a deeper level. We are hoping to see a decrease this year and are tracking in that direction currently. On the next slide, you'll see where ISS data does not follow that same pattern. Again, this goes back to the work of actually monitoring the data and providing targeted support as needed to schools in certain grades. Slide 10, finally moving to the high school environments. The spike in incidence actually occurs in 2023-24. Again, we do feel that the overall incident count jumping up is related to the implementation of the cell phone policy, which was a priority for leaders to ensure teachers had support with instructional time being protected by the district with those guidelines. The OSS data follows a similar pattern, but we've seen a strong decrease in OSS as well. I will share another piece of data in a moment to show that we've seen a decrease in particular categories of behavior that we find most likely correlates to this decrease. With ISS, again, the spike mirrors the cell phone policy implementation, which we knew had a correlation to the incidence and the ISS data. We're seeing it trend down and hope to continue that focus. And high schools in particular have benefited from increasing their intervention-based approach, restorative approach, and has also had access to increased mental health supports. We hope these supports and interventions will continue to positively impact the data trend downward. I also want to share information regarding the secondary spaces, specifically with the board, because school safety is always a huge priority. We've seen many school-wide measures put in place to address safety, supervision, and social-emotional learning and support. And with all of these combined efforts, we've seen a decrease in incidents of fighting and battery, which has had a positive impact on the OSS data as well. Our building administrators work hard in collaboration with other supports from school police, counselors, social workers, and many others to see our schools be a safe place of learning for our students. Slide 14, and in wrapping up the data portion of this presentation, I want to share our discipline data and regarding hearings from the past 3 years, as well as this year. And again, this data set starts with August and moves to February. The total number of hearings has decreased since the academic year 2022-23. I've also included data on the numbers of students assigned to the CCSD Learning Center. The Learning Center model was restructured in 2025 to ensure when students are assigned to that environment that they're afforded wraparound supports as well as ongoing transition and support collaboration between the home schools and the Learning Center to support the student and the family as much as possible. On slide 15, after reviewing this data, I think it's important to evaluate what is working and having a positive impact in our district. One focus that continues is supporting and collaborating with our schools around progressive discipline and having measures in place to reinforce our tiered systems that are also applied when it comes to student discipline. That starts with prevention at the Tier 1 level, teaching and constantly communicating behavior expectations for our students. When students do need higher tiers of support, we have a least restrictive philosophy with taking restorative, relationship building approaches, and having processes and procedures when there is a need for more serious consequences based on the infraction. Slide 16, again, as a part of the tiered approach, I want to share one of the key systems of progressive discipline that helps calibrate and guide our teachers. This is a PBIS flow chart from one of our middle schools, Coyle Middle School, and it shows how teachers are guided in prevention and intervention-focused approach to mitigate behaviors from escalating in the classroom and moving, hopefully, away from an ODR. So to give you a quick summation and to sum up all of the things we've done as we pivot toward the code of conduct work, here are some key takeaways from this data set. Intervention work does matter and it is effective. We strongly feel that it has impacted a reduction in incidents in behavior. Secondly, there are specific systems that through continued implementation have made schools safer and created a positive culture and climate for our schools. One we want to highlight is behavior, clarity, and instruction, establishing and teaching clear behavior expectations for our kids. Tiered interventions, implementing Tier 2 and Tier 3 behavior interventions through MTSS, also including the HYPE support. We have Mr. Wendell Berg here tonight and his team. They are part of our secondary schools and support if we find some infraction that need additional services for the families. And we all reach out to Mr. Berg and his team often for that kind of support. Thank you, Mr. Berg, for being here tonight. Another aspect, restorative practices implementation across the district and the GGC collaboration. We've also had a research practice partnership with Dr. Richard Welch, I believe he's here tonight, somewhere in the building, and who has brought forth integration of the base curriculum in secondary schools. And I'll dive more into base interventions and that curriculum set momentarily. Another key takeaway is student empowerment. Employing Leader in Me, a school-wide framework that develops student leadership, personal responsibility, and academic success by focusing on habits like proactivity and goal setting across the district, has had a powerful impact on our school climates. And last two bullet points I want to give to you to consider: targeted support, providing behavior and mental health counseling through small groups. In particular, we want to give commendations to Holston, who started small groups on the elementary level, as well as Stroud, Dr. Vaughn on the middle school level at Hillsman, and of course, a learning center has started small groups, as well as small groups at Central High School. And finally, safety protocols. Refining our behavior threat assessment management processes has been positively received, and we continue to serve as a model for other districts looking to implement a similar threat assessment system. And I'd like to pivot to the code of conduct, which is one of the main focuses for you guys. And as we schedule the data and look through that data, as a reminder, the code of conduct undergoes annual updates driven by the Office of Student Services, myself, and the Discipline Committee. This committee includes school administrators and district personnel from the Special Education Department. All administrators are invited to participate and ensure that we have multiple representatives at each grade band. The committee's key objectives were to analyze discipline data, feedback from the surveys, and ensure the code offers clear expectations and guidance. And finally, to recommend changes to the board, to the code of conduct, to you guys, the Board of Education. Slide 20, the timeline was followed this year, and it began in the fall of 25 and included meetings and surveys with several key stakeholders. In addition to the public-facing feedback, we collected to get feedback from the current code of conduct. We also added presentations this year to the Family Advisory Board, the Student Advisory Board, and teachers and classified staff through their respective advisory boards as well. And the draft of the Code of Conduct for the next school year is out still for public comment, although we haven't received any comments as of yet. Here on slide 21, here's a summary of the feedback that was received that the discipline committee looked through to consider for changes for next year's Code of Conduct. And while the response levels are low, it is noted that the vast majority that responded agreed or strongly agreed that schools are clearly communicating behavior expectations and consequences. After meeting with the committee and gleaning information from those sessions and meetings and surveys, we have two recommendations for the board to review. First, we're proposing to add a section to the Code of Conduct to communicate the updated state law and the updated board policy addressing the use and possession of electronic devices at the pre-K grade 8 levels, and to reiterate the guidelines that will apply to the high school levels. And secondly, we propose to add base modules as an option for secondary schools for specific offenses regarding substance abuse. And I'll elaborate more on the base program as we move later on in the presentation. The link on this slide gives access to the draft of the 2026-27 Code of Student Conduct for your review. If you haven't already seen it, you should have access to that. And if you don't, of course, we'll make sure you get access to it. On slide 23, I'd like to now dive into more in depth on each proposed change. For the student use of electronic devices section, we have included the approved board policy that passed in December of this school year. And we've addressed the high school will be covered by the CCSD cell phone guidelines. Those guidelines are a separate document that will be refined and updated by the superintendent and the district's communication department. This slide gives you an indication or a view of a direct look at the new addition within the Code of Conduct and how it will appear inside of our Code of Conduct. You can also click the link and, of course, look at the draft. I think it's in yellow for you to view. And finally, I want to give you more information about the BASE program that we're proposing to add to our Code of Conduct for next year. BASE is a computer-based program that a school, BHL in particular, began using in ISS spaces. And because we felt like students needed a structured intervention and a teaching-based component. So when behaviors occurred, what was a non-punitive process that could happen began to open communication and building understanding around prevention of behavior in the future. BASE provides those tier interventions components, and due to its effectiveness at the middle school level, we expanded our program to all middle schools and then also included all high schools and centers. Our research partnership with Dr. Welch, who I believe is here tonight for this work, as he assisted with research components around the expansion beyond the first middle school. And that was certainly a key part of that expansion work. Some key features of the BASE modules that it makes it so effective is that it aligns with MTSS and PBIS. It is highly accessible in that it has multiple languages. It is self-pacing and also has an audio component. So for students who are struggling with reading, they can use an audio component to assist them throughout the modules. Another key feature is that it has educator and parent components as well. And we begin to pilot the parent component this year and hope to expand that work for next school year. And this slide gives you an indication on slide 26. This is one example where you can see how BASE was added to the Code of Conduct. It is included specifically in those areas with substance abuse. But the utilization of BASE expands far beyond just those areas because it aligns with our Code of Conduct. Schools have been using BASE for teaching components around substance abuse intervention, so we wanted to formalize that over the program we refer to as RAP, which was used in a different curriculum. The Department of Student and Family Support continues to partner with Drug-Free Athens around comprehensive substance abuse prevention and intervention, but we'll use the BASE curriculum for intervention portions after an offense has occurred within our Code of Conduct. And finally, to conclude the presentation, I've included a reference slide with all the other Northeast Georgia recent codes of student conduct. This was requested last year, so we have updated these links and continue to provide these these references for you to have as a reference. So I appreciate you going through my presentation. Thank you for allowing me to come in tonight.
I'd like to remind members that we're going to limit discussion for 20 minutes during the work session. And then if we want to continue this conversation, we can do so at the board meeting where we have a little bit more time. We do have to go to executive session because there is an issue we need to deal with this evening. So I'm going to start with Ms. Hensley, and I'm going to give everyone about 3 minutes. And then when your 3 minutes are up, I'll say thank you, and then we'll go to the next person, which will be Ms. Bagby. Okay? Thank you.
I don't really have any questions. I am curious, and I don't know if we're going to have an opportunity to put something in a spreadsheet. I am curious about this base thing that we're doing. And is that only for it's high school and middle school, or just high school?
Middle school and high school.
Middle school and high school. All right. That was my one question, but I think I can ask more specific questions maybe in a spreadsheet.
Sure.
And then my second, on the cell phone, there's no change to high school. So it's only elementary through 8th.
Pre-K through 8, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that was the state legislator that said that.
Distraction-free law. Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Those were really my questions. I may come back to this cell phone issue in high schools.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Hensley. Ms. Bagby? All right, Ms. Davis?
I have more than 3 minutes worth of questions, so I'll just hold them all. No, seriously, the numbers are high, extremely high, in terms of the number of cases that were there, and my chart was different from yours. The headings were the same, but we had bar charts. You had the grid, the lines. So I'm curious that we had this great peak. What happened in 23, 24?
Is there a particular grade band, or you mean overall?
Hold on
Overall,
just a second.
23, 24, everything went like crazy. The numbers went high in almost every single group.
So I'm going to explain why you have a different one, Ms. Davis, before you go to answer that. And so if you refresh within there, then you should have the one that he presented from. They updated the presentation to make sure that the data you were looking at was August to February across all the years. So that way you could see a difference between the behavior incidences happening between August and February for this year as well as the previous years. The bar data shows for the entire year for the previous years. So the line graph would show just August to February. No, you're okay. No, it's not. It is not your
No
fault.
worries.
It's our fault. But I think that you do ask a legitimate question around what was happening in the other years, and then speaking to things that are happening now that we are doing to address some of the behaviors that we saw spiking in other years.
So no need to answer, or you, but no.
I think we still like to know what happened in 23, 24, like what was going on. I have an idea, but if you wouldn't mind explaining it to us.
Well, 2024, I started in November of 22, so that was the year 2022, 23. 2024 was the first time we started really honing in on the cell phones, and so that did kind of drive up a lot of that implementation of the cell phone policy, which carried over into the next year. But then, of course, once that baseline data kind of hits and the kids start getting the message, then you'll start seeing that trend downward. So we did have a spike that year, which I think was explained on one of the previous slides.
Mr. Denson?
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for this presentation. And also, I really appreciate us having this work session in March and the vote not coming until April, so we can really kind of talk about this and think about it. I do appreciate that. So I also do have, I have to be honest, I have some concerns about the base modules. Looking it up, it's mostly, it's gonna be video-based, image-based modules that we're gonna put a student that's maybe having some challenges in front of a computer and expect their behavior to be changed because they go through. I mean, I remember whenever I was in school, we had things like this. I had in-school suspension. I had something even like this. I got to tell you, it didn't help me. What did help me was me having a teacher looking out for me, taking me aside and really talking to me. You know, that did help me. And so I'm a little concerned about us putting reliance on something like this when I have concerns on its effectiveness. And especially when at the same time, you know, I think we all received the email that, you know, that we're not renewing the contract for the Georgia Conflict Center for our restorative practices trainings through them. And so I really have some concerns of us moving away from this in-person training with a local agency that meets with people one-on-one, that meets with schools, that creates restorative justice teams in each school, and moving towards this web-based contracting company that I have absolutely no idea really where it came from, that we're expecting to kind of have be a behavioral correction tool. So just that's my thoughts right now, and we can go more, but that's where some of my concerns are here on this.
Okay, if I may, BASE doesn't replace the restorative work. That's not the premise of it. BASE spawned out of a conversation from some of our secondary schools, and they began to see some progress with it. Students actually asked for the BASE module. Now, it doesn't replace the relationship with the behavior specialist or the mental health counselors. It's in conjunction with all the other supports that we have in place as well. So to your point, we don't want to replace it with anything. We add it as another support for the kids. And we're seeing, again, early numbers indicate kids are interested in those modules and benefit from, but it won't replace the human contact person that we've invested in as well.
And I guess a follow-up question: do we have a cost of what us taking on this base is for the district? And if not, I mean, that's a pretty specific question. We can put
Something
that in
I'll
the
get to
thing.
you. Definitely, I'll let you know that number.
Dr. Gant?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Evans. I have many questions that I think I can place in our document and then also discuss with Dr. Scott during our one-on-one. There were just a few that I thought I would just place here, and I don't know where we are with the 20-minute timeline, but just wanted to put them out there. I would love to see us look closer at the effectiveness of specific interventions. And so not necessarily just the descriptive data of if our OSS is decreasing or ISS is decreasing, but looking specifically at interventions and outcomes and looking with maybe a more critical eye so that we can draw some conclusions, and maybe even that can have implications for other schools and what we do in the future. I know that we see sort of the ebb and flow probably over the past, 15 years, and maybe even before that is, behavior tends to do this and then it does that and does that. But it's difficult for schools to actually capture what it is they're doing so that they can replicate it outside of what is decreasing and increasing. And so I would love to have just more conversations around whether it's BASE, whether it's our restorative practices. And I do understand that may not be available school, district-wide, but I would love to see us really focus in on a school or practices so that we can begin to tell if something is effective. Because just because we see a decrease, it doesn't mean that, the behavior data tells just a part of the story. And that can be impacted by a variety of different things. It can be impacted by leadership turnover. It can be impacted by tier 1 interventions at a particular school where there's strong, sort of behavior management. It's just a whole lot of things that could be going on. And so I would like to see us look a little bit more at that. And then the only two other things I'll mention, and maybe between now and then we can have some more conversations, is Just wanted to highlight what Mr. Denson mentioned, knowing a little bit more about what we're doing for those students that are in higher tiers that have maybe a more critical need, understanding what those interventions are, and being able to, again, assess the effectiveness of those interventions. And then lastly, at least for right now, I would love to see, I know like in our behavior dashboard, I think, Dr. Scott, so the behavior dashboard, it's two things on our webpage where we're able to sort of interface with the data. But I think I can't remember if it's updated in real time.
Okay.
But I think it would be helpful as we look at not just strategically where we're going. I think there's great work that has been done, and I'm very appreciative, Dr. Scott, and even prior, like the focus on behavior and climate. I would love to see us hear more and talk more about disproportion, like any type of disparities that exist, because I think this gives us one piece of the puzzle, which is that these outcomes, like these discipline referrals and incidents, are decreasing, but there's still so much more that I think we may be missing, and I think it's important for our colleagues on the board to know that, so that as things come forward that we can support with spending efforts, we can sort of understand the complete picture, like, okay, are our male students, are they more likely to be suspended, or what is it looking like for those very subjective areas under the code of conduct, which students are being referred more, and just things like that. So a few more details, I think, could also be helpful.
And I'll be brief, very brief about capturing what you and Mr. Denson both mentioned. There have been several shifts that have taken place since 2022-23. In 23-24, the behavior team was built out. And then last year, Dr. Jennifer Tolbert, Director of Students Behavior Support, took over that team, and they delve into the exact thing you're talking about, not just an intervention on paper, but how it actually looks. So that's what she does on a constant basis, analyzing interventions, making sure that we are truly finding out what's really working and what's not. So we've made, I guess, a 3-4 year, maybe 5-year commitment now to answer those questions that you're asking, not just the numbers, but actually what's going on. And we're committed to that work. And last but not least, those groups we mentioned, the groups we mentioned earlier are groups for Black males. That's at every level. Of course, 2, elementary, 1 in middle, and 1 in high. So we're starting to see that, again, Leader in Me, proactive nature. We're not going to wait for those kids to get to high school or middle school. We're trying to catch them as early as possible to combat some of the things that you're mentioning. So we're seeing the numbers from different angles, just like you are, and we want to get the right answer.
Anyone have any other questions?
Don't prompt me because we said we were going to keep this short, so I'm just going to wait. I really feel strongly that, again, the information that you're giving us is very helpful, but the details or the thing that I want to see is, what are those interventions and how effective are we at actually dealing with this? Because the first thing that hits in my mind is when we go to a disciplinary hearing and we look at those records of what has happened in a child's life, and I'm like, we have all of these things out here, and how did this child miss all of that, right? And so I really want us to be a little bit more transparent, I guess, and speaking to the effectiveness of the things that we're doing. And I'm not like Lakeisha. If they're doing something at 4 schools and not at all 14 or 15, I want to know what they're doing that works at those 4 schools so that we can possibly duplicate that in others. That's where I want us to be in terms of even having a conversation about this code of conduct. It is not my favorite subject, has not been for 14 years. So I'm looking forward to the day that we actually can walk our talk and let it be a code of conduct and not a code of misconduct.
Understood.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Jensen?
Thank you. And just one more question, I guess, if it could be presented to us later on, would be I would love to see some breakdown of this with, it's great to see the entire district see some of those trends, but see what some of those trends are on some of the individual schools. Especially because, like, and I know one thing, like, again, I'm a bit concerned that we're not renewing the Georgia Conflict Center contract for the restorative justice. And so I would love to see a comparison of the 17 schools that have the restorative culture leadership teams, what their trends were compared to the schools that don't have those teams. So we could really kind of see the impact of what those teams were doing compared to, you know, the ones that weren't.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Ms. Beckman? Okay.
Turn this light on for y'all not to ignore me. And then when I have the light off, you want to know if I have any questions. When I have this light on.
Ma'am, you're out of order at the moment. If you would please refrain. Thank you. All right. Seeing no other questions? Mr. Cobb, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very much. I need a motion for us to go into executive session.
I so move.
Second.
What? Oh, I need a motion for the discussion of a personnel matter. We need to move into executive session to discuss a
moved.
personnel matter. All right. We are in executive session. Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting of the Clark County School Board into order. Dr. Scott, would you please do the roll call?
Heidi Hensley,
Here.
Mary P. Bagby, Linda Davis,
Here.
Dr. Patricia Yeager, Tim Denson,
Here.
Dr. Mumby Anderson, Dr. Lakeisha Gant,
Here.
Nicole Hull, Mark Evans.
Here. At this time, this brings us to our silent meditation and Pledge of Allegiance. So if we'll take a moment of silence, and then I will lead us in the pledge. For those of you who don't know, the flag is right there. Will you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. Thank you very much. Please be seated. This time I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Moore to our favorite part of the board meeting, which is our awards and recognition. Dr. Moore, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Good evening, Dr. Scott, board members. We have quite a few recognitions tonight, so we'll go ahead and get started. First, we'll start with the celebration of the fine and performing arts in our schools. March is recognized nationally as a time to celebrate the arts in our schools, including Music in Our Schools Month, Youth Art Month, Dance in Our Schools Month, and Theater in Our Schools Month, encouraging communities to recognize the vital role of music, visual art, dance, and theater education in the lives of students. CCSD recognizes the value and importance of music and arts education for all children. We celebrate our many talented students who display their talents through the visual arts, music, and theater, as well as the excellent work of our many outstanding art and music educators throughout the district, whose knowledge and support spark creativity, imagination, and career inspirations, leaving a lasting impact on our students. Please continue to follow us and our schools on social media and check out our website and Better Together newsletter for highlights of our many, many art programs and information about upcoming events that you can attend to support our students. Now, speaking of music, for our first student recognitions tonight, we are pleased to be joined by some of our high school students who were recently selected and performed with the Georgia Music Educators Association's All-State Band and All-State Orchestra. Students, when I call your name, if you are with us tonight, please come to the stage for a photo. First, our All-State Band selections. From Clark Central High School, Colin Boyle, 11th grade, oboe. And Melody Morris, 9th grade, bassoon. Go right on up. From Cedar Shoals High School, Evan Green, 10th grade, trombone, and Thomas Wilson Adkins, 12th grade, contrabass clarinet, bass clarinet. Thomas? No? And our two all-state orchestra selections who were unable to attend this evening, but we want to take this time to recognize them as well. From Clark Central High School, we had 11th graders Sterling Williams and Samuel Lorenzen, violin for Samuel and bass for Sterling. Right. If you have family members who are here, we'd like to invite them up at this time so we can take a picture of you. And one day you'll thank us for this. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, look this way at Mr. Thompson. They're perfect. Thank you very much. Next, we'd like to recognize our 2025-2026 STAR students and teachers for Cedar Shoals and Clark Central High Schools. The STAR, which stands for Student Teacher Achievement Recognition Program, is run by the Professional Association of Georgia Educators, also known as PAGE, and it recognizes the senior at each high school with the highest SAT score on any single test date who is also in the top 10% of their class based on grade point average. Every STAR student also names a STAR teacher who has influenced them in their academic pursuits. The Athens Area Chamber of Commerce sponsors the local STAR Awards. First up, our STAR student from Cedar Shoals is Christopher Koch. Christopher, come on. Now, I believe you've seen Christopher here before, at least once or twice, right? Chris currently ranks at the top of Cedar Shoals' 2026 senior class of more than 300 students and is also a standout student athlete. He is captain of the Aquajags swim team and as a sophomore won the GHSA Class 4A boys 500-yard freestyle state title. He has also won multiple second and third place medals at the state level and most recently finished second in the 200-yard individual medley and third in the 100-yard breaststroke during the state championship this last month. Congratulations. Chris is an AP Scholar with distinction and a member of the National Honor Society. He also serves as treasurer of the Cedar Shoals Beta Club. He plans to attend Georgia Tech and major in mechanical engineering and has also signed a letter of intent to continue his swim career with the Yellow Jackets. Now, Chris chose Cedar Shoals English teacher Tara Stewart as his STAR teacher. Ms. Stewart, come on up. He writes that while winning the STAR Award is on one hand an affirmation of the hard work he has put in, it also helps recognize some of the amazing teachers at Cedar, like Ms. Stewart. She has a passion for helping students learn while also motivating and encouraging her students to do a great job outside of school, whether it is reading more or competing in sports. Ms. Stewart describes Chris as the kind of student every teacher dreams of, who brings a rare combination of sweetness, sincerity, and quiet determination to everything he does. He learns with genuine joy, shows up fully in every moment, and never takes shortcuts, she said. He is also the kind of person who naturally draws others into his orbit. He consistently encourages his classmates, invites quieter students into the discussion, and genuinely wants everyone around him to do well. Whether he is in the classroom or in the pool, he pours his whole heart into the work with a calm, centered focus that feels far beyond his years. His positivity is steady, his dedication is inspiring, and his kindness is constant. Being chosen as his STAR teacher means the world because he is the type of person who sees the good in everything and doesn't like to pick favorites. I feel lucky to know him, honored to celebrate him, and deeply hopeful for the future, knowing students like Chris will help shape it. Congratulations, Christopher Koch and Tara Stewart. Now, if parents want to come up and get their picture taken, or any friends of yours who might be here, Tara. All right. Thank you. You may be seated. And now, our STAR student from Clark Central and the system winner for all public and private schools located in Clark County, we have Olivia Bergman. Olivia? Olivia Bergman is ranked near the top of more than 430 students in Clark Central's 2026 senior class and is dual enrolled at the University of Georgia and in the Georgia Institute of Technology's distance math program. That's hard for me to even say, Olivia, so good job. She is placed in the top 10 in Georgia Tech's math competition and 11th in UGA's math competition, and has complemented her academic pursuits by running cross country, earning the Most Improved Award for the Gladiators. She is captain of the Clark Central chess team that won the local chess and community tournament each of the last 2 years as well. Olivia plans to study English and mathematics in college. She has been accepted to the University of Toronto and UGA's Honors College and is currently awaiting admission decisions from other universities. Olivia, please give her a hand. Olivia chose Clark Central science teacher Scott Swain as her star teacher. Mr. Swain? Is Mr. Swain here? Well, we're going to talk about him in his absence. How about that? And this is Mr. Swain's second consecutive year being chosen as star teacher from Central. Olivia writes that when she took AP Physics with Mr. Swain, he was supportive and cared about my future. Not only did he teach me a subject I found fascinating, but he went above and beyond in giving me the skills I needed to succeed in dual enrollment and in college after high school. I'm grateful for the time I spent with Mr. Swain and the kindness he has shown me. Mr. Swain said, "It has been great seeing firsthand the level of brilliance Olivia demonstrated in my AP Physics class, not only on tests, but in the lab setting as well. I have also appreciated how Olivia had a positive impact on the learning environment of my classroom, which was contagious to other students." Mr. Swain has also noted many comments from Olivia's classmates who described her as an incredibly welcoming and kind person, always willing to lend a hand, hardworking, passionate, and one of the most brilliant friends you could ever have. Congratulations, Olivia and Mr. Swain. And if we have supporters for Olivia, please make your way to the stage. Ms. Smith, go on up there. And we're going to ask all our honorees just to stick around for a few more minutes so we can get one big group picture of everyone with our board. Wonderful, thank you. Moving on to our staff recognitions, we'll start with Clark Central Agricultural Education teacher Anthony Brooks. Mr. Brooks, come on up while I'm talking about you. Now, this is also a familiar name and face. Mr. Brooks was recently named Agricultural Education Teacher of the Year by the Georgia Association for Career and Technical Education. GACTE is a state affiliate of the National Association for Career and Technical Education organization and encourages and organizes teachers to become a part of the collective voice that can influence issues and policies that impact career, technical, and agricultural education. Mr. Brooks has been teaching horticulture, floral design, nursery landscape, and basic agriculture at Central since 2024. With this recognition, he is now in the running for Georgia CTAE Teacher of the Year, an award which will be announced by GACTE this summer. Good luck. Congratulations and best of luck, Mr. Brooks. Next, we'd like to recognize our Employee of the Month. Our Employee of the Month this month is Jaylene Parrott, a pre-K teacher at Oglethorpe Avenue Elementary School. Ms. Parrott is in her 5th full year with CCSD and Oglethorpe and also did her student teaching there. She is a shining example of the extraordinarily talented and dedicated educators we have across the district and has earned consistently strong praise from her administrators and instructional coaches. In her nomination of Ms. Parrott for Employee of the Month, Dr. Annette Sales, pre-K instructional coach for the CCSD Office of Early Learning, writes that Ms. Parrott is an exceptionally organized educator who consistently advocates for her students and provides high-quality early childhood education. She maintains high expectations for all learners while encouraging the development of critical thinking skills at a very early age. Mrs. Parrott is also incredibly caring and works hard to build positive relationships with students, parents, and the entire school community. She goes above and beyond to meet the needs of her students by using data and a variety of instructional strategies to support their growth and success. Ms. Parrott was also featured in the recent edition of the Oglethorpe Staff Newsletter, which describes her classroom as a true example of hands-on learning at its best. She ensures her students have access to the materials, manipulatives, and resources they need to explore, discover, and build understanding in meaningful ways. She doesn't just talk about learning, she creates it. Beyond her classroom walls, her leadership continues to shine. She is deeply invested in the logistics and operations of our school, always thinking ahead and advocating for what the pre-K team needs to thrive. She fights to ensure pre-K is recognized, valued, and fully included in the larger school vision because she knows early childhood is not extra, it is essential. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to excellence, your dedication to your team, and your heart for our youngest learners. Our school is stronger because of you, and our Wildcats begin their journey on solid ground thanks to your leadership. And I will tell you again, when we went in to surprise her this week, first of all, your 4-year-olds are adorable, but they were all sitting nicely, learning, listening, and when they heard she had been awarded this, they went up to her and gave her a big hug, and you could tell it was a great classroom. So thank you for that. Please join me in congratulating our Employee of the Month, Jaylene Parrott. Now, Mrs. Parrott, if you have supporters here, please feel free to come up. We want to get a picture with you. And while they're coming up, I want to thank the Athens Area Chamber of Commerce and local businesses for once again supporting our Employee of the Month program by contributing to the winner's gift bag. As a reminder, any member of the community may nominate any full-time CCSD employee with at least 1 year of service for this award. You can go to the link on the screen to get you started on your nomination. Very nice. And we have a gift bag for you full of prizes. Now you stay right there, and I'm going to ask all of tonight's honorees to make their way to the stage and the board to come forward, and we'll take one big group picture. So come on up and come on out. It's heavy, isn't it? It's filled with great stuff. Okay, squeeze in there. Don't be afraid to get closer. Perfect. Okay. There you go. I can see you now. Couldn't see you a minute ago. All right. Come on, look this way and say winners. Over here, right here. Then we'll look that way. Okay, now you can look at others. We good? You want some more? We always have time for pictures. All right, thank you all so much. And finally tonight, as you make your way back to your seats, we want to acknowledge you, our board members, as part of the School Board Appreciation Week in Georgia. We recognize the critical role that you play in setting the district's vision, ensuring accountability, and supporting student achievement. Your leadership helps guide our district forward, and we are grateful for your continued service to our students and community. Dr. Scott, that concludes our recognitions for this month. I'll now turn it back over to the board for any recognitions that you may like to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Okay. Seeing as we have no public comment for tonight, we're going to move to agenda number 6, which is adopt the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, so moved by Mr. Denson, seconded by Ms. Davis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Seeing none opposed, the agenda is adopted. All right, moving to number 7, the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the consent.
Make a motion, we adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, all right, so a motion by Ms. Hensley, motion by Ms. Heidi Hensley, sorry Heidi, and seconded by Dr. Gant. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed? Great. All right, moving on to number 8, business for individual votes, starting with the January 2026 financials. I need a motion and a second to begin conversation. Number 8A. I'm sorry? Oh. I was just going through.
Okay, in Mr. Griner's absence, then I do want to provide you with the January financials. As you can see, our revenue was just a little over 185 million. That's about 5 million more than what was budgeted. As a reminder, then those revenues will start to decrease as all property taxes are beginning to be received. Our expenditures are trending just a little bit below what we've actually budgeted, with expenditures for January being just a little over 133 million. That's about 3 million less than what was budgeted. Our fund balance, current balance and fund balance is 105.9 million as of January 31st. The budgeted amount was 97.7 million. And again, as a reminder, that will begin to decrease significantly as our revenues will decrease, but our expenditures will remain. And so we do anticipate an ending fund balance that will be about at that same 20% mark that we typically find ourselves at the end of the school year. So with that, are there any questions?
I need a motion and a second before we can have the conversation.
I move that we accept the budget as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Davis, seconded by Mr. Denson. Conversation, anybody will have any questions? All right, just a reminder that Mr. Griner will be in attendance with us on St. Patrick's Day, so we'll be able to ask him all sorts of good stuff when we have him there, all right? Seeing how there's no questions, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor of approving the January 2026 financials, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed. All right. Contract list, or excuse me, personnel, 8B. I need a motion and a second.
I make a motion, we approve the personnel.
Okay, motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Hensley, seconded by Ms. Davis, that we accept the personnel board report as written. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed? All right, moving to 8C, contract list.
I move that we accept the contract, approve the contract list as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, so motion made by Ms. Davis, seconded by Ms. Hensley. Does anyone have any conversation you'd like to have on this? No? Seeing
Well,
as,
how close are we to the end? Is this everybody?
This is not everybody. We will have a shorter list as we go on into April and into May.
that's a good question. Thank you, Ms. Davis. All right, all right. All in favor of accepting the contract list as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing I'm not opposed, motion passes. All right, personnel addendum. I need a motion in a second, please.
I make a motion that we approve the personnel addendum.
Okay. Motion by, seconded by Mr. Denson. All in favor of accepting the personnel addendum, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Since not opposed, okay, passes. All right, which leads us to E, IFBG, which is we had to suspend the rules so we can vote this in, but it will go out for public, it will go out for public consideration. I need a motion and a second so we can have conversation about it. Do we need to suspend the rules for this one now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I need a motion that we suspend the rules for IFBG.
I make a motion that we suspend the rules.
Okay, motion seconded?
Second.
Okay, all right. Now that we have suspended the rules about first read, all right, I can now entertain a motion for IFBG to be passed as written, right? Oh, you know what? What's democracy? Come on, just blow right over that. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing how it's not opposed. Okay, now that we have suspended the rules, I need a motion and a second so that way we can have a conversation about IFBG.
I make a motion that we go ahead and send IFBG out for review.
Okay, Well, no, it's not for
No,
review.
to pass, and then we're,
Yeah.
to go ahead and accept it. Yeah.
Okay, all
A
right.
second.
Second, okay, so Mr. Denson makes a motion, seconded by Ms. Davis. Does anyone have any questions or comments about this? Seeing how there are no questions or comments, I'm going to close conversation. All in favor of IFBG, say aye. Aye. All opposed? None opposed. Okay. Okay. Now, we are now into item 9, the 2026-2027 CCSD Code of Conduct first read and public review. We are not passing this tonight. We are just simply putting this out for the public to look at and comment and send us their feedback. Should have some lovely time at Kroger. So can I get a motion for us to begin our discussion? We don't need a motion for that? Oh, see, I was on a roll. Okay, all right, well, seeing how we'll begin discussion, so why don't can we do it like we did last time? You get 3 minutes, and we'll come back if you need more, okay? Does that work for everybody? Okay, great, we'll do 2 passes through, and if you need a 3rd pass, bribery works, I guess, right? So, I mean, with me, it's easy, so. Okay, Ms. Hensley, you have 3 minutes.
I'm actually good with everything that was presented. I may have some questions before we officially adopt this. I am excited that the state passed a law about requiring us to have a policy on cell phones from K through 8th grade. I think that's pretty critical. So I'm super excited that that's going to be implemented, and that's really new in this code of conduct. But that's all I have right now.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next up, Ms. Bagby. Okay, no comment, okay. Ms. Davis?
So I do have a quick question, and that is, on the code of conduct, is the cell phone use the biggest offender that we have across the discipline spectrum?
It is one of our largest infractions, and we had a great discussion today with our middle school principals. Unfortunately, we are seeing an uptick in vapes as well now. But cell phones is the largest item that we did have. It is trending downward, but it is still of our largest infractions.
That's amazing. Thank you. I was curious about that.
Okay, all right. Mr. Denson?
Really no new, I mean, just hoping to get that more information, like I brought up in the work session, just some comparisons of by school trends when it comes to discipline, especially comparing the schools that have the restorative culture leadership teams and those who don't. And yeah, just trying to find out some costs on the base and a little bit more information about us not renewing the Georgia Conflict Center contract for restorative practices.
That's it, okay, all right. Dr. Gant?
Yes. Just, I think, some additional information on the restorative work that we are doing, particularly as we move to adopt the Code of Conduct next month. Also, I would love to, if there's a consensus of the board, I know that we can pull this information from the data dashboard, but just in real time from this year to now, I would love to see a more specific breakdown of our infractions by type, by demographics, including not just racial demographics, but also like our students that are English language learners, and our students that are served through special education. And I think that's it for now. I can put the other questions inside of our document. Thank you.
One last pass, anyone? No? No? Okay. All right, then we're going to move on to item number 10, facilities updates, the SPLOST monthly report. Mr. Galbraith, yay, welcome back. We missed you, John.
We do want to thank you for that great report.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Mr.
Yes.
Cobb. I'm sorry. I'm getting there. Getting there.
All right, good evening, board members. Primarily focuses on Gaines Elementary renovation. Again, we kind of have our photo update. As you can see, the additions on the wing, on the end of the ABC wings is complete, as well as the new D wing being dried in and exterior brick on. Next slide. This is just showing off one of the downspout modifications we made. We had some issues in the past with water backing up on the roofs, so we're retrofitting the downspouts so that maintenance will be able to be proactive in keeping the gutters and downspouts clean. Again, contractors ahead of schedule, pouring sidewalks back out of the additions adjacent to the playground area. Next slide kind of shows you the overview of the detention pond area and D-wing. This is a photo of the roof on the D-wing, so we're dried in, interior finishes, HVAC work is ongoing. And just some more site photos. That's our outdoor classroom space being reconstructed. Here, the next picture shows you the interior finishes going in. So again, we're hoping by the middle of April to have the additions and the D-wing complete so that come the end of May, the contractor will be able to focus on A, B, and C interior finishes. So again, just some more progress photos going through of the D-wing, the gymnasium extension, as well as the new stage that's going to be in the gymnasium and professional learning space as well. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Gilbert?
Next month, I'll be bringing a playground, a new playground for Gaines Elementary and Whit Davis as well. So I have some more items coming up, so I appreciate your support.
I actually have one question. You were talking about the downspouts. I feel like Gaines has had such an issue with that playground. And is that going to help that as well?
Yes,
Or, okay.
yes. We actually have area drains that we're working on as well.
Okay.
We're going to expand some of the turf area, add some playground spaces, and make sure that all of our drainage structures are cleaned, open, and sloped properly to take care of that. Yep.
All right. Next is Community Oversight Committee.
We met this week and had an update with the folks. And again, we're focusing on, we update on the outstanding projects, but the big thing I think coming up for the COC is going to be the SPLOS 7 vote, which is in November. So they're forming an ad hoc committee to help support us and promote that upcoming SPLOS vote.
Okay. Any questions about?
And I'll add that they are also recruiting for membership on the COC. That's an ongoing effort by that committee.
And remind me, I know I've asked this before, Ms. Davis, and maybe even Dr. Evans, across administrations. If we know someone that we think would be an asset, a value add to that process, we just share the names with you, right? Or Dr. Scott, or who on COC?
So the chair is Adam Sams. Alex Sams, I'm sorry,
Alex
for the Community Oversight Committee, and so you can share those names with him. Or you can send it through Mr. Gilbert, and he can get that.
I'll be happy to talk to them too. Thank you.
Ms. Davis talks to him, he's going to be on the board. It's going to happen. Just watch. She can sell popsicles to Eskimos. It's crazy. All right. All right, moving on to 11. Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Thank you. All right. Information items, board community reports, early Head Start Council. Mr. Denson, is that you? Oh, that's Dr. Yeager. She's not here, so. Okay, we'll just move on. All right.
I'll tell you that I had a wonderful visit with the Early Head Start East program, and we had a wonderful day. They were in their little costumes, and I had a reading experience with them last week, so that was a lot of fun.
That's the best part, getting to read to the littles. Love that. All right. Okay, next is the Athens Area Community Foundation.
Yep, that's me. Our last meeting was right in the middle of the snowstorm that we all got shut down for. So that did not happen. We meet the day that we meet next week at 9 a.m. for a strategic philanthropy meeting. And so I'll have more information, but, well, it depends. If it is pertinent to us, then I'll have more information at the next meeting.
Okay, and all right, moving to C, Envision Athens.
Thank you. Yeah, a kind of important update. The Envision Athens board met this past month about having a special called session, a meeting to review kind of the purpose of Envision Athens, and so there's some discussion going on about possibly drastically changing the purpose of Envision Athens and getting away, basically seeing that a lot of the goals, like the role they could play in the goals they've had has kind of come to an end or been handed over to other agencies or groups that are doing that work. And so there's some talk about maybe radically changing things. And so possibly next month or the month after that, we might be coming back with some big changes. So.
All right, that takes us, well, I don't see the Career Academy. Did I skip them? Oh, wait. Okay, so, all right, okay. All right. Oh, well, no, it's, you could. Well, I was, but, no, you can do it. Okay, all right.
All right, good evening, everyone. So during the month of March, we are recognizing several different groups and people, starting with our Music in Schools Month, our Gifted Education Month, Middle Education Month, National Nutrition Month, and Women's History Month. We also want to recognize the National Foreign Language Week and National Social Workers Week was March 1st through 7th. And Read Across America Day was March 2nd through 6th. And so I'm happy to hear that Ms. Davis was able to get over to the Early Learning Center East to support their programming there. We also want to recognize National Agricultural Day, which will be on March 17th. We have a couple of student art exhibitions coming up in celebration of Youth Art Month. You're invited to Confluence High School Art Exhibition at Ithaca, March 19th through 24th. The reception will be on March 19th from 5 to 7 p.m. Our CCSD Youth Art Month exhibition will be at the UGA Dodd School of Art all month. The reception for that will be Sunday, March 29th, 1 to 3 p.m. Our Superintendent Student Advisory Board will be providing their final projects on April 1st at noon here in the Vernon Payne Hall. We do invite all board members to be present. Lunch will be provided following the presentations. And again, that's for our Superintendent Student Advisory Council on April 1st at noon here in the Vernon Payne Hall. We will have the dedication of the James Holston baseball field at Cedar Shoals High School on April 1st as well at 5 p.m. So we are inviting our board member and public to join us and stay around at 6 p.m. for their game against Greene County to cheer on our Jags. So Coach Holston served at Cedar Shoals from its opening in 1974 until his retirement in 1994. He served as the chair of the science department and the head baseball coach. As a reminder to everyone, tomorrow is a student holiday. We are wrapping up our student-teacher conferences. I want to say thank you to all of our parents who have joined our teachers and students for our conferences, and we look forward to welcoming our students and teachers back on Monday. looking forward to our board retreat on Tuesday, where we will have an opportunity to really dig into our FY27 budget and ensure that you all have a full understanding of all of the initiatives that are being brought forward, as well as to hear from you around things that you want to make sure that we are considering. And finally, I want to just extend a heartfelt thank you to each one of you in recognition of Board Appreciation Week. I thank you for your time, for your commitment, for your service to the students of Athens, and for your just unwavering commitment to ensuring that we are providing every student with an opportunity to achieve the goals that they set for themselves, and ensuring that every journey is one filled with greatness and excellence. So thank you for the work that you do every day and your commitment to our students. And with that, then, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Evans to share a very exciting announcement regarding our Athens Community Career Academy. And
So our Career Academy was up for recertification from TCSG, the Technical College System of Georgia, and the Charter System Foundation. And they have been recertified for the next 5 years. They were found to be exemplary in all facets of their stuff. And it's a real testament to Mr. Molina and the work that he has done there. I mean, I've seen him put in so much time in that building. And so if you get a chance, send him an email and just say, hey, well done. Because he's done a fantastic job there. And, with some of the plans that we have for West Broad, I think that, we're going to get even better. And in lots of cases, we're a real model for some of the career academies on what the things that we're doing there. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm just like, yay. So, okay, all right. Dr. Elder, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I had the pleasure to sit in with the team that was evaluating, and they said absolutely that we were a model, and they'd be referring folks to come and do visits to see what was happening here. So very excited to hear our recertification, but wasn't surprised at all.
All right. Well, that brings us to item number 13. So if I could get
I move that we adjourn.
all right, ordered by Ms. Davis, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hensley. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? You can stay here if you oppose. All right. Take care, y'all.